So, Jono, thank you so much for making time to share your insights into the future of leadership. But
thank you, Doc, and thank you for having me on your show. It's always great to chat to you.
It's great to have you, Jono. And before we walk into the future, can you please tell us a little bit about your background? Where did you grow up?
Doc, I grew up in Durban, near the beach. I started playing sport when I was about 4 years old, moved up to Johannesburg in 98. And yeah, sport's been my life, sport's been my passion. But I was a coastal boy until I moved up to the Highveld in the late 90s, and have been here since, and loving the vibe, the energy, and the pace of Johannesburg, which I think aligns with my spirit and my energy.
Great. And tell us, what was your dream career, Jono, when you grew up?
Yeah, I think for me, playing sport from a young age, I was 4 years old, building sandcastles on a soccer field, looking at the aeroplanes fly past instead of trying to score goals, to playing a decent level of sports at school. I was never a fantastic sportsman. I never represented provincial sport or any national sport in any way, but I had sport in my blood. I loved watching all codes of sport. I loved playing all codes of sport. And for me, getting into sports in some way, shape, or form was the dream job. And soon after school finished, I got into coaching. And certainly my coaching career kicked off when I got the opportunity to work with the Royal Challengers Bangalore, one of the IPL teams. I remember my coaching career kicked off when I went to my gran and asked her for some money so I could buy my first bag of cricket balls to start coaching cricket with. And she gave me 3,000 Rand. And I went to Sportsman's Warehouse in those days and walked out with some coaching equipment and balls, and started to coach my first player. And through that, it's just been an incredible journey of coaching, of loving sports, of working hard, and doing things which I love doing and blessed to do today. So really a coaching career, an administrative career, a teaching career. I was in education for 18 years. Turned into this role at the back end of 2019 when I took over as Chief Executive Lions Cricket. So certainly a journey of sport right from my playing days up until my administrative days today.
And Jono, tell us who inspired you in your early days.
Yeah, Doc, I think for me, I look at sports personalities was certainly inspirational. I look at people that played a high level of sport, were inspirational. My own father, in the way he ran his business with integrity and ethics and hard work, was certainly a massive driver for me. And looking at coaches and people in the industry of sport certainly made me get up every day and try to be better today than I was yesterday. And there were many that I could name, but I don't want to bore your listeners. But I think for me, it was those that were prepared to work hard, understood that sacrifice was a key part of success, understood that hard work was a key part of success, understood that teamwork and putting the team first was really important in success, and putting good people by your side was what was really needed in order to achieve that success. And for me, it was really around not doing this journey alone, but having good people by your side that you could work the journey, that you could walk the journey with. And certainly those mentors and those inspirational people came from all codes of sport, whether it be in cricket or rugby or baseball or other, basketball, golf, tennis, Roger Federer, Sia Kolisi in rugby today. I mean, there's just so many that we could name as inspirational people that certainly gave me the energy to get up every day and be better.
And Jono, looking back over your career, would you say there was a major turning point, or maybe a number of turning points?
Yeah, I think there were certainly a number of turning points. If I mentioned the fact that I was a phys ed teacher, I was the change room attendant here at the very DP World Wonders that I lead today. I used to pack the bags and carry the oranges and pour the drinks. And certainly I did it because I wanted to learn. And I think I've always had that philosophy of making sure that every single day you try and get up and learn, that you're never too old to learn. And I think Gandhi's great quote where he says, we have to live as if we're going to die tomorrow, but keep learning as if we're going to live forever, is something which I've always tried to to keep at the back of my mind. And certainly for me, the turning point was in 2009 when the IPL came here from a cricketing perspective, and I was a liaison officer and baggage master. And the very next year in 2010, found myself as assistant coach in India with the Royal Challengers Bangalore, and then served South African cricket as the national talent scout for 11 years. I ran a very successful and big coaching academy for a long time, with over 900 players, with 90 odd coaches, and was very involved in education and sport and the impacting of lives. And for me, as I say, with all of those learnings that took place over a period of 20 years, when I got this opportunity at the back end of 2019 and got requested to throw my name in the hat for this chief executive role at Lions Cricket, initially I said no. I then was asked by many people, please do, by players, by coaches, by staff members and other, which I did. And then I landed this role at the back end of 2019, and 5 years later, I serve this place with a purpose, and I serve it with a drive to make sure that the cricket and the ecosystem of cricket and the people that are involved in the game and the administrators that are involved in the game continue to grow, and that the players have a platform and an environment in which they can excel. And if you look at the amount of trophies Lions Cricket have won over the past 5 years, if you look at the successes and the achievements, things like Sports Organization of the Year, things like the growth of our own staff moving up into the Proteas ranks, players getting Proteas contracts, the professionalization of the women's game, our blind cricket, our deaf cricket, and the entire ecosystem of school, club, etc., and how that's grown with my staff by my side, I think we can be really proud of what we've managed to achieve in the past 5 years.
Jono, what would you say is driving you today?
Yeah, Doc, I often say I took this role for a purpose at the back end of 2019, and my job's not done. Every single day I go to bed, every single morning I wake up, I do that with a purpose, and a purpose to drive change and meaningful change, and change that can be sustainable. And I think if we talk about the future of leadership, we also talk about the future of business. And I think what we need to realize, as the custodians of the game, we're also in the business of the game. We're in the business of cricket. And if we can drive a bottom line that makes sense, we can then take that bottom line and drive it back into developing the game and growing the game at player level, at facility level, at community level. So every single day I wake up with that purpose to make a meaningful change in someone's life, make a meaningful change and drive sustainable change within the community. But for me, it's all about purpose, Doc. They often say a job makes something for you, a career makes something of you. And for me, I'm not too concerned about the salary I get on the 25th of every month, which I'm blessed to get, but it's more about the purpose that I'm able to drive on a daily basis that, please God, will drive change in communities and in people's lives.
So Jono, looking into the future, and I know it's a big question, but what does the future of leadership mean to you?
I think the future of leadership is a critical one. I think if we look at the digital transformation, we talk about the fourth industrial revolution. There's so many words that float around, but I think humanity has to remain the core of people, the sense of values, the sense of care. And I think if you are able to instill that in your workforce around you, instill that in the people around you, they'll get up every day and fight the battle for you and deliver a greater level of excellence on a daily basis. So for me, whilst technology is key and whilst digital transformation is happening at a rapid rate around us, I think as leaders, we got to make sure that we still connect with our people. And I often say we've got to disconnect to connect. And that's sometimes tough as a leader. We pulled in so many different directions. There's so much expectation on us that sometimes we forget to actually just put our phone down, just to actually look in someone's eyes and connect and have that deep sense of careness for them as a human. And I think if we're able to keep that as our center core of leadership, and that making sure that every single day we get up and we make sure our teams around us feel cared for, I believe that we'll continue to drive success within our organizations and have a culture of people that want to drive excellence and high performance for us on a daily basis. But if we arrive to work and people just think they got to clock in and clock out, and we lose that connectivity because of what the digital world has given us, I think we could be in for a bit of trouble.
So Jono, what would you say is it we have to do, or we have to do more to develop future leaders, to encourage future leaders?
Yeah, I think the training of leaders is going to remain critical, Doc. I mean, I look at some of the work that you do and some of the leaders that you've interviewed. The training of people around you and the change management of people around you is critical. And if you look at the virtual world, I mean, some corporates post-COVID have not even come back to the office. And they're running their businesses remotely. Some of them are coming back 2 to 3 days a week. And you know the energy of a room and how you deal with people in a room is much easier than doing it across a computer screen. I mean, even this interview between us doing it virtually, I'd much prefer you being in a room and us being able to share face to face the energy of each other. But we're trying to do that over a virtual screen, and that energy needs to get transferred to the listeners that may watch this interview and the future leaders that may watch this interview. So for me, the training and how to get our staff to communicate virtually is probably one of our biggest challenges, because a lot is done over platforms like Zoom and MS Teams and other nowadays rather than face to face. But I've been a big believer that we've got to get people in a room. We've got to make sure that we connect face to face, that we've got to connect on that human spirit, because a lot of our energy is driven by that on a daily basis. So for me, the training of people and how they can cope in this new virtual world is probably the greatest challenge that I've got and many other leaders that I've spoken to have got, because there's such a new virtual world out there, and a great opportunity for our people to connect on. And instead of flying to Durban now, flying to Cape Town, people say, no, well, let's jump on MS Teams and let's connect. I mean, you've even got the mountains behind you, Doc, in this in this virtual world, and that's how much the digital world has really transformed. And it's an exciting space, but it's also a space that we can't allow to get too far ahead of us, because at the end of the day, we need people to drive excellence, and we need humans to be able to connect on levels of engagement that drive a greater purpose for all of us.
Absolutely. Now, Jono, these are challenging times as the world is stumbling from one crisis into the next. What is your advice for future leaders in terms of challenges? What are some of the biggest challenges they should expect to encounter and hopefully overcome in their career?
Yeah, I think, Doc, I mean, the bottom line is strategy and the developing of that, the execution of it, managing talent, the developing of talent, and I suppose the personal proficiency of us as leaders acting with integrity, with social and emotional intelligence. All those things are critical. And I think I often say to my staff and my people that your brand as Dr. Nick, or my brand as Jono, is really about what do people say about us when we're not in the room. And how do they perceive us and think about us when we're not around? What do they say to their friends and their colleagues when we're not near them? And I often say that that your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card, and how you leave others feeling after an experience with you becomes your trademark. And I think as leaders and as future leaders, what trademark are we leaving in people's lives? What experience are we giving them when they're around us? What feeling are we giving them when they're near us? And do they want to come back for more? Do they want to engage more? Do they want to learn more from us? And I think for me as future leaders, the advice I can give them is to make sure that the experience they're giving people is a good one, so that when they're not in the room, people are saying good things about them, and know that they're coming from a good place of care and of true leadership. I often say there's not a leader issue in the world, there's a leadership issue in the world. And that leadership is really about bringing people together and driving a strong culture and aligning towards a common vision that we can walk people on. And I think the future leaders are going to really have to be strong in culture in this new virtual technological world of what tomorrow may hold.
Jono, if you were to design a curriculum for future leaders, what are maybe one or two key skills you would like to factor in and teach?
Yeah, Doc, it's an interesting question. I think it's an interesting question, and it's the teaching aspect, I suppose, will always be there, because the world is so fluid. It's so volatile. I mean, we speak about that VUCA world, and I think every single day you can come to work with the best intentions and the best plan, and something happens where you've got to be agile as an employee, you've got to be agile as a leader, and you've got to be able to cope with that pressure under severe circumstances sometimes. And I often tell my staff, pressure is a privilege, and you've got to embrace that pressure. But change management's key, and continually being able to adjust to that change is key. And I think sometimes people have a mindset of, well, that's what I was employed to do, and don't ask me to do X and don't ask me to do Y because my scope of work says X. And those, unfortunately, those are not the employees that will survive in a workplace today, because the world is moving at such a rapid rate, and all of us need to be agile and need to be fluid in our thinking. And I think for me, it's how do you get the staff to understand that and be purpose-led leaders within their own departments or their own workspaces, so that you can trust the work they do. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to micromanage people every single day. We don't want to babysit people every single day. We want to trust the work they do. But again, we need those people next to us that are able to do that. And I often say, if you can't change the person, change the person. And and we need people on our team that are able to adapt and be agile in their thinking and drive change. And unfortunately, if they're not able to do that, you may, as a brave leader, need to change the person at times.
Right. Now, Jono, as a mentor to many future leaders, can you maybe share a success story or two where you mentored an upcoming leader and that person took your advice to heart?
Yeah, I think I've been blessed to be involved for over 20 years in some level of education and teaching and coaching. So I think I have many stories from players that were young. I mean, a Quenema Parker who made his recent debut for South Africa in the IPL. I mean, I saw that young boy when he was 8 years old and told him to dream big, and gave him some of the ingredients that were needed to achieve success. And here he is playing the game of cricket on a global stage. I've got other youngsters that I gave advice to and said that whilst you may love the game of cricket or love sport, maybe you're not good enough to achieve that on a professional level, but you know what, go and be the best attorney or doctor or physiotherapist or dad or brother or whatever you're going to be in life. Be the best that you can be. And many have come back today saying, you know what, I've become a doctor and I'm the best, and I've become a surgeon and I'm the best. And thank you for the advice that you gave me when I was 10 or 15 years old. I've had some even today phoning me and saying, listen, I'm about to be a new dad. What can I do, or what guidance can you give me? So those relationships and those impactful moments that you make as an educator, or as a coach, or as a leader across your journey are not really known to you when you're walking forward on this journey of life. But sometimes when you pause and connect the dots and look back, you understand the impact you make. So there are many moments. There are many success stories, Doc, that I could share. Coaches that I picked up at a McDonald's in Sandton with not a rand to their name, that I needed to give them money to get transport home, that are now having cars and medical aid and families and a full-time job through the mentorship and the guidance and the support that I gave them, to probably 9 or 10 coaches that were catching taxis as their mode of transport, that are now all driving their own vehicles and having their own families, to success stories in townships where we launched programs. If I use the example of one little boy who knew nothing about cricket, was playing football, was living in a shack in a township, and is now living his dream at a much higher level. There's just so many great examples, Doc, that I'm so blessed and privileged to have been a part of. Certainly not all my doing, so many people's doings, but certainly I know when I put my head down at night, I played a role in it in some way, shape, or form, and something that when I reflect back on, is something I'm really so proud of. And when those players or parents, I mean, I saw a dad in a car park 3 days ago. I happened to be carrying my son's bag because he wasn't feeling so well. And this dad, which I've not seen in, I swear, 10 years, 12 years, his son's 29 now, and I taught him when he was in grade 5, came to me and said, you told me all those years ago that you weren't allowed to carry your son's bag, and that it was one of the disciplines that the child had to do themselves at school is carry their own bag. And I said, jeepers, you know what? I did tell you that. And yeah, I am carrying my son's bag. And that's a dad I've not seen in many, many years, yet he still remembers something I told him 15 years ago or whatever it was. So yeah, Doc, just many special moments to be proud of, and many special moments, please God, that will still to come.
Now, Jono, looking back over your leadership journey, are there any role models of leadership that you would suggest future leaders should learn from? And I mean, role models that you encountered and maybe worked with.
Yeah, I think, Doc, I mean, I was really blessed from Gavin Verigi's, the chairman of Richmark, to Brett and Mark Levy, CEO at Blue Label, to Ali Bakr in the 2003 Cricket World Cup, who allowed me the opportunity to do my internship within Lions Cricket and the World Cup in those days, to Adrian Gore and Barry Swartzberg, who founded Discovery, who are incredible purpose-led leaders, to Jack Mata Singh, the president of Lions Cricket at the time, who was brave enough to give me this opportunity, to Enoch Inkwe, who's the director of cricket at the moment, and was a coach that coached with me in our under-19 days. Sio Kolisi today is the Springbok captain and the journey he's been on. Yeah, just there's so many, Doc. I mean, Mark and Bendita Gordon, who founded and brought Busby to this country. I mean, they were the first ones that literally sat on their carpet in their house and helped me design a business back in the early 2000s. Yeah, just so many people I've been blessed to know and encounter and learn from across my journey. I love the Discovery model and what Adrian and Barry founded and have driven, and that whole vitality model and the purpose around what they've done, and what Discovery have managed to achieve with two leaders that started literally from nothing and have built a global business that, as South Africa, we can be proud of. And I think also what I really love about that story is that globally people have learned from Discovery. And I think sometimes as South Africans, we feel we always got to go outside our borders to learn. We always got to go outside our borders to grow and look at international trends and role models and people, where actually we got some incredible leaders locally that we can learn from. I mean, I heard Justice Zondo speak at his farewell dinner a couple of nights ago, and he spoke about perseverance. I mean, he was an incredible person in that world, and I was blessed and privileged enough to know the late Auditor General, Mr. Kimi Makwetu, whose memorial I spoke at. I used to coach Kimi's children, and the learnings that Kimi gave me were just profound and incredible, and left a lasting impact on my life. And my late dad, I can't forget him. He passed away 5 or so years ago to cancer, but he always taught me to make sure that people mustn't give you the reasons why they can't do things. They must give you the solutions on how they can do it. And certainly my dad was with one company for 42 years, Nampak. He started there as a filing clerk when he was 18 and left as a real legend of the company that made them a lot of money. And they even said they were going to build a statue for him outside Nampak. I'm still waiting for the statue to be built though. But he was a real legend, and someone that taught many people lessons of life and lessons of loyalty. Having been with Nampak for something like 42 years is no mean feat. And certainly for me, loyalty is a critical piece. And as I say, I've been here at Lions Cricket now 5 years. The board has just reappointed me another 5 years, and I've taken the role again, and I've said yes, because there's still unfinished business here. And hopefully all those learnings from the different role models and leaders that I've been blessed and privileged enough to encounter and learn from will stand me in good stead for the next 5 years as I continue to lead Lions Cricket, hopefully into a better and brighter future with the great team and the great board by my side.
Right. And Jono, where can our listeners follow you, and how can they connect with you?
Doc, I think I've always had an open door policy, so they can come and walk into the wonders at any time and come and have a chat. Obviously, I'm on LinkedIn. People can email me or connect with me on social media platforms if they want to. But yeah, I've never been one that likes to put out my content too much. I'm one that likes to sit and have a coffee. So I encourage people to reach out to Lions Cricket if they really want to have a coffee with me. and come and chat. But I do speak at multiple forums and in many areas of the communities, at schools, at clubs, at institutions, at breakfasts, at corporate events, etc. So I'm always happy to share the journey that I've been on and share the experiences I've been on. And as I say, I serve a good cup of coffee in the Lions Cricket Union's open and the stadium's open as the iconic DP World Wonders, as a place to have coffee at. So my door's open.
Right, so pride of Lions and the pride of Josie. And last but not least, Jono, what is your message to the millions of learners out there who are looking to finish school, to start a career? What are maybe one or two success factors they should keep in mind?
Doc, I always say champions don't become champions when they win the event, but in the hours, the weeks, the months, and the years they spend preparing for it. And the victorious performance itself is merely a demonstration of their championship character. And I think to all those people coming out of school or some level of study, trying to find work, I need to understand that we, as leaders and as people that look to employ people, are not always about the great CV or credentials that you may hold, but it's about you as a person. It's about your character. It's about the work ethic. It's about the purpose that you're going to get up with every single day and lead with and drive. And for me, those values and how you serve is important. People can have a piece of paper that says you the best at whatever, but if you don't have that grit and that DNA that we want as people within the institution, then you're not someone that I will look to employ. So make sure that championship character is something that you work on. Make sure that championship character and that hard work and that perseverance and that resilience is something that you work on. And that value-driven approach of life is what you get up and live by on a daily basis. Excellence is not a sometimes thing, it's an always thing. And for me, I want to see people live, I want to see them love, I want to see them learn, and I want to see them lead. As I said in the beginning, Gandhi said, live as if you're going to die tomorrow, but keep learning as if you're going to live forever. Nelson Mandela taught us some incredible things on leadership, and how we should approach leadership. And I think all of us as humans understand the power of love and how important love is. So live, love, learn, and lead are my 4 words to close off with, Doc.
Thank you, Jono. Thank you very much for sharing your insights and your wisdom into the future of leadership and for building a better future.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate it, and keep up the great work.